4 days of intensive learning with weekly and monthly support to give you everything you need to become a financial educator. You can go ahead and learn more and sign up for this program by going to horsesmouth.com/liftoff. And today I'm going to be talking with Sean Bailey, the leader of the program, about session 2, which is titled Setting New Client Goals, In-Person and Webinar Events, Getting Your Format Mix Right. So kind of 2 parts there. But Sean, maybe you can get us started by talking about how adopting the role of a financial educator can enhance an advisor's strategy for acquiring new clients.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. So in this business, basically, the number one route to new clients is through referrals. But suppose your referrals aren't good, or suppose you're new in the business, or the referrals have flattened, or you want your business to grow faster than the number of referrals you're getting. That's where positioning yourself as a financial educator really comes in, because you're the one that's able to ultimately control how many new clients you're able to bring on board through education marketing, through positioning yourself as a financial educator. And the thing that's so great about it is that, you're not cold calling or cold walking. There's no real rejection involved. You're putting yourself out there in your community as an expert, a go-to guru on whatever particular topic it is that you're presenting on, one that's normally should be aligned with your target market, which of course for many advisors has something to do with pre-retirement or retirement. And by going out, by having a strategy to put you and your firm out there as a convener of events, and we'll talk about this in a minute, the difference between in-person events and webinars, but you being the convener of these educational events around topics that speak to particular pain points that your target audience has, pre-retirees and retirees, right? They're concerned about, retirement income. How are they going to get a paycheck when they go to retirement? What is this whole thing about Social Security, and how does that work? Supposedly I can get more if I do one thing, but you get less if you do another. How does that fit? Medicare, which is healthcare and retirement, another huge topic, long-term care, taxes in retirement. All of these topics have a pain point. And the public, particularly retirees and pre-retirees, are very sensitive to these topics. In fact, I was just talking with an advisor the other day who said that they had just finished a class at their local community, their local adult education school, and it was on Medicare, and it was absolutely packed. Well, I'm not surprised that it's absolutely packed, because next year is peak 65. More Americans turning 65 than ever before in the history of this country. And so the fact that a Medicare presentation, an advisor would have a full audience on that particular topic, doesn't surprise me in the least, because that's an example of the demographics and pain point and the advisor all coming together. And the advisor simply positions himself there as the educator. And from there, when you educate the public, that puts you in a position to go to the next step, which is to start a conversation, a one-on-one conversation. So I'd say the key point about being a financial educator in terms of the strategy is that you're educating the public on topics that are very relevant to them. And not only are you, speaking on that topic, but you're helping them gain clarity and insight about potential solutions.
Over the years, I've seen some advisors who are a little bit afraid of coming across too strong, coming across as salesy when they're trying to build their business. It sounds like financial education marketing is a really good approach for somebody with that concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And, listen, rejection is hard. And, this business used to weed people out by handing young advisors, a massive list of phone numbers to call, and you had to, dial all day long, and you mostly were hung up on. But for every 100 hangups, you'd get one or two who would want to have a conversation and meet with you. But it's pretty brutal, and it doesn't need to be that way. And for the most part, I think that has gone away. And in terms of how you build your business early on, or in the middle of your career, or even late in your career, is this opportunity to go out there and simply educate. It's kind of walking the walk, or walking the talk, when they say. You're just out there to show them what's going on and answer their questions. And for a certain significant percentage in the audience, they'll accept an advisor's invitation to a next step conversation. So that's how that works.
Okay. Well, today, we're talking about session 2 of the program, and half of that is on setting new client goals. So can you talk a little bit, in setting new client goals, how does a financial advisor balance the quantitative aspects, like the number of new clients, with the qualitative outcomes, such as client satisfaction?
Yeah, so this is, particularly interesting topic, because there are dials here, right? And what we say in the Financial Educator Marketing Coaching Program is we're leading you through this process that is totally customized to you, okay? And so when I say it's customized to you and your team, because you wouldn't want to put on so many events that you suddenly have 40 or 50 follow-up appointments for the next 30 or 60 days. Because, maybe you would if you had a significant team. Suppose you're a team of 5 or 6 or 7 with admin and everything. You could probably handle that, although, 50 or 60 or 40, even 30 even, discovery meetings with new prospects spinning out of an educational event is still quite a lot to metabolize. And so the whole thing is about setting new client goals in the program is 2 things. One is systems, and one is the system, your ability, your firm's ability to metabolize bringing on new clients, right? So you're not going to set a goal of getting 40 new clients in 2024 unless you have the team and the ability and the other processes in place that could literally bring on, what would amount to like 3 or 4 new clients a month over 12 months. That would be around 40 clients, right? So the issue here between the quantitative aspects and the qualitative aspects has to do with we're going to teach you on the front end how to maximize your marketing dollars, how to get good people to come and attend your events. We're going to teach people, all the particular important aspects of how to run an education presentation so that you're getting the most number of people at the end of the presentation who are going to accept your offer to come in for a one-on-one meeting, right? So that is one aspect of it, but you need to know your own, team's ability to bring on X number of new clients. So for instance, some advisors in this program really want to add 5 to 10 million in new assets per year. And some want 15 or 20, right? And we have advisors in the program who, because we've been doing this since 2017, who, succeed and they meet their goals, and their goals are set based on the reality of what are their firm's ability to bring on X number of new clients. We go through all the return on investment and the marketing dollars and all that sort of thing. But at the root of it is you have to match, especially, it takes a little while to get your sea legs, but after your sea legs, you have to match the number of new meetings that you can handle with prospects to your firm's ability to, take them on. all right, because everybody knows how many hours are associated with meeting with a prospect over 1, 2, or 3 meetings, then opening the accounts or transferring their money from previous places, getting them onboarded as a new client. Everybody knows the amount of energy and time that goes into that. And so in terms of the setting of new goals, we spend a good deal of time helping the advisor as they craft their financial educator marketing strategy, because that's what this program is. It's about creating a 1-year marketing strategy. And one of the things that we've talked about in the second session out of 8, is the setting of new client goals. And it can't just be like any great, fantastic number you want. It can be, but what's important is that you have to have the people and the processes in place to be able to achieve that goal.
Okay. Well, obviously, a key aspect of fulfilling this approach is hosting educational events. And really the 2 main types are in-person events and then webinars. So I know session 2 covers this. It's one of its focuses. So what are the key factors that advisors should consider when they are deciding between in-person events and webinars for their educational events?
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic to me, because up until the start of the pandemic, basically, hardly any advisors did webinars, okay? We're a very small number. We put on this financial educator marketing coaching program for, I think, going back to 2016, 2017. And we had, every now and then somebody would ask, well, can I do webinars? And it was all really very focused, the whole industry very focused on live and in-person events, okay? But the pandemic came along and everybody was forced onto Zoom. Everybody knows how to use Zoom now for the most part. And webinars have become, table stakes. They become just part and parcel of this industry. And so now when we talk about creating a financial educator strategy, and we map out a whole year's worth of programs as part of that strategy, we have to look at what are the differences between putting on webinars and putting on in-person events. And ultimately, the program recommends that you have a healthy mix of both, okay? In-person events are more expensive to put on, but they tend to have a greater levels of success. But the burden is the putting the events on, right? Because it's one thing when you're putting on a webinar and you've learned the webinar material, you know the presentation, you know the technology, you've got somebody on your team who's acting as co-host. You can walk in 10 minutes before the event and get set up, and boom, it's time, and the emails have been sent out, and people are in the webinar waiting for you. You hit the record button, you look into the camera, and you go, and then 30, 45 minutes later, you're done, and you're on to the next thing. That's what a webinar is like, okay? But an in-person event is not like that at all. And there's so many different types of in-person events. And, if you're doing an event at the local library, or if you're doing a dinner event, right? You got to go down and schedule the room in advance. You got to be sure and check it out. You got to see what their equipment situation is. On the day of the event, you got to get down there and you got to see, like, where's the parking? How are people going to get in here? And then after the event, there's the wrap up and the closing too. So, a particular event might eat up on game day, right? It may, you may be looking at 3 hours or even more, depending upon the type of in-person event you're putting on. And so they're a lot more challenging to put on, but they're more successful. Now, the webinars, though, can become very easy to put on once you get over the hump and get the learning curve, and you can build a regular schedule of them. And one of the important things about the webinars is that they create so much great marketing content because you're going to record your webinar. And then when you record your webinar, you're able to, you'll get a certain number of people who will come to your webinar event. A certain percentage of them will accept your offer to have a one-on-one meeting, which also may be virtual or it may be in person, right? And that number tends to be less than an in-person event. But because they're so easy to do, people, we've seen advisors do this now since the pandemic. People have really gotten into it. They just, they create their calendar of webinar events and they put them on a regular basis. And so, some may do 4 a year, some may be doing 1 every month. Some do even more than that, plus a certain number of in-person events. So there's like if you're wanting to maximize your results, right? If that new client goal is really high and you have all the processes and team in place where you can handle bringing on those new clients, right? You're probably going to want to do both, okay? And this is the thing we get into. It's, again, your financial educator marketing strategy is personalized. And so, we've gone through training programs where some people say, oh, I just want to do 1 webinar a quarter and I'm going to do, maybe 4 in-person events. But overall, we like and recommend in our program, and we train people and we follow them along, to have at a minimum a total of 12 events per year, whatever it is. Right now, some do more, some do less. They're not all in person. Some do, webinars, some do in person. Some people do 18, 20 events, and it will be, it'll be 12 webinars, and it will be 8 in-person events that are, part of campaigns. They'll do a couple in the spring, a couple in the winter, a couple in the fall, whatever the case may be. And so this is one of the things that we spend some time on and help advisors kind of work through, the playoff between where and the types of in-person events you're going to have versus the webinar events, and just finding the right mix. And it's unique for everyone. But the key thing is that, I'm a big believer in webinars now. I was not beforehand, because I used to feel that you really needed, before the pandemic, I felt like, listen, if you want to have a lot of prospects at your webinar, you need to have a decent email list, right? And that is still true no matter what. The best advisors who succeed because they've got good email lists and they have processes in place that are always cultivating that list, and it's growing slowly but steadily over time. So anyway, in terms of the right format, I just feel that webinars needs to be part of the mix. But in-person events are absolutely back, and the pandemic is over. People want to be out and about and meet people, get in their car, drive to places, be there and go home. So it is, just finding out that right, what is that right mix between the in-person versus the webinars.
And it is a mix. You can do both, because I think a lot of advisors think they have to focus on just one, and maybe that works for them, but you can do both, and perhaps you should, right?
Yes. And in fact, the other thing is a number of advisors who I've been following over the years who are succeeding extremely well putting on in-person events. Well, they were instantly out of business when the pandemic came along, at least for a little while. And a number of them realized, I've been so focused on growing my business and putting on these live in-person events, and now we can't go down to the steakhouse, or we can't go to the local library. And so they switched to webinars, but they also realized, I haven't been doing enough educational events for my existing client base. I give them good service. We meet with them on a regular basis. Everybody is happy, but I really hadn't been doing too much educational events. And so these advisors said, look, I get no other choice in the matter right now. We're going to put on a regular schedule of these webinars for our clients. And we're just going to ask our clients to go ahead and invite any family members or friends or colleagues they know who might also be interested in the topic, whatever it is, usually something that's retirement related. And so when they did that, guess what happened? Many of them had absolutely record referral years. because their clients love the fact that their advisor was showing them an aspect of their business that they hadn't previously realized, which is that the advisor can educate me on things that I hadn't even realized I wanted to know more about. And this led to word of mouth and more invitations and so this is why I think it's important not just for growing your business and thinking about prospects, but putting on events for your clients as well. And doing the webinar just becomes so easy, and make it part of your schedule. You and your team get used to it. Your clients get used to it. And look, the number of people who show up for your webinar event probably depends, because there are different marketing strategies. Some people can spend a good deal of money and get a full, I would consider full like anywhere 25 to 30 to come to your webinar. But plenty of others, they're just using their email list. They're not spending much on marketing for their regular monthly client events. They're getting, a handful to a dozen, but it doesn't matter, because you put it on and you record it. And when you record it, then you can do all sorts of things with it. You can pull a transcript and create a white paper. You can download the video. You can get it cut up into shorter stuff. You can put the recorded webinar on your website. You can put it on social media. There's so many things you can do from an education marketing perspective when you do the webinar. So, and those are the things you can't do live and in person, right? I mean, you could have a camera and you set up the lighting and everything, but it's a lot of cost and a lot of organization. And so it's much easier to record a webinar than it is a live and in-person thing. So the webinar, the other super powerful thing about the webinar is that it is a content marketing activity that just becomes a great asset that you, the advisor, have, a marketing asset that you can slice and dice in a variety of ways, put it into several different channels, and just get maximum benefit from it. And that's why I think people need to do the live and in person and also the webinars, because ultimately it's a synergy in terms of how your community is seeing, he's inviting us to some live in person events, and the email newsletter is always referencing, the next new webinar, or has a link to the one that was just recently completed. And together it is all, paints a picture of a vital, active advisor who is engaging his clients and his community around something that he or she has a lot of passion about. And that's just this sort of energy you're putting out into the universe. I don't want to go too woo-woo on people, but I've just seen it time and time again. You get out there, you put this energy into these things, and stuff happens. People come in, people start talking, people start referring, and all of it together, you putting that financial educator energy out there brings people, attracts people to you who want to have conversations that lead to business and long-term relationships.
Okay. Well, let's move kind of higher picture here about what you're going to be covering during session 2 in the program overall. Mm-hmm. How do advisors, develop the systematic and thoughtful approach to education marketing?
Yeah, this partly, one of the things we do in this second session is we look at maybe 17 or 18 topics that are out there where there's a tried and true track record around these topics. And as part of your strategy, as part of this session, we go through all of them and we look at each topic and the pros and cons around that topic, the kinds of questions it leads to, the kinds of follow-up meetings that are triggered around that particular topic, the pain point of that topic that you are proposing to solve, and the types of different clients that are more likely to be interested in that particular topic. And so when we do this early on in the program, because a key thing that we do is that we have the advisor pick one primary topic and one secondary topic. And those are the two topics that they will then emphasize in their financial educator marketing strategy. And that's what kind of, drives their activity for, the coming year. I mean, as a baseline. And again, it's different for everybody. Some advisors who come into the program, they've been putting on events and webinars, but they want to come in because they want to learn more. And some of them will build a system where they like to do a 3-event series. Okay, so they'll pick maybe Social Security and taxes in retirement, and then a third thing. Sometimes it's something that you'd be surprised, but they pick something like cybersecurity or college education or IRA planning. It just depends. And so we do spend this point in time in the program early on, the second session, to take we take about 60 minutes or so to examine all these topics, look at the pros and cons, and then the advisor who's in the program can sit there and identify which topic he or she thinks will be their primary and then their secondary, and then that becomes the the rest of the program builds all the scaffolding and the systems and the tactics around those particular topics that help them have a full-blown financial educator marketing strategy that they will be executing in 2024. And that's what the program is really all about.
Yeah. And so if you are interested in joining the program and getting that financial educator strategy in place, we'd love to have you in the program. You can go to horsesmouth.com/liftoff to learn more and sign up. And I also want to mention too that Sean is going to be giving a webinar tomorrow with even more about the potential of financial educator marketing. It's called Ready for the $12 Trillion Wealth Wave, Getting New Clients in 2024. And you can go to horsesmouth.com/wave to sign up for that and attend that. So Sean, any closing comments before we say goodbye?
Yeah, well, come to this. It is a new webinar put together. This intergenerational wealth transfer has some, it's one aspect of it, but there's also some other very interesting things that have been going on with what I'm calling the coming wealth wave. And the thing that's so fantastic about the wealth wave is that the financial educator is the professional who's absolutely poised to benefit from this wealth wave. We're going to talk more about it, and then we're going to connect it to the financial educator strategy. So be sure to come out tomorrow. Sign up. If you can't come tomorrow, you'll get the link to the recording, and I think it'll be worth your time.
Yeah, great. And again, that's horsesmouth.com/wave to register for that webinar. Okay, great. Well, Sean, thanks for your time and for talking to me today about the program. And everybody, thanks for attending. And until next time, take care.